They say you don't remember the moment of impact, that the brain shuts down to protect you, like a fuse blowing in a storm. But I remembered everything. The screech of rubber, the snap of metal, and then the suffocating silence as smoke filled the cabin. I was pinned. My name is Thomas Brandt. I was 48 years old the day a drunk driver ran a red light and sent my Volvo spinning into a concrete median at 65 miles per hour. The last thing I saw before blacking out was the glowing screen of my dashboard flashing an incoming call. It was my daughter, Emily. I never answered. When I woke up, I didn't. Not really. I was told later that I'd slipped into a coma. Severe traumatic brain injury. Internal bleeding. Broken ribs. But the truth is, I was awake much sooner than anyone realized. Not fully conscious, not in the way doctors measure, but aware. I could hear. Not everything, not all at once. It started with sounds. Footsteps. Beeping. Then voices. My wife, Monica, was the first I recognized. They say there's no meaningful brain activity, she said softly. Her voice cracked. Maybe that's a blessing. He wouldn't want to live like this. That was day 2. On day 4, the tone shifted. The lawyer said if he doesn't name a medical proxy, it defaults to me. Monica whispered to someone I couldn't identify. If he's not responsive by next week, I can request a withdrawal of life support. That's what he would have wanted. He told me once. Day 7, the doctor explained to Monica and my adult children that I was in a persistent vegetative state. We're not optimistic, he said. We'll continue monitoring for brain activity, but you should prepare for the worst. Emily cried. She's my youngest, 24 years old, first job, fresh out of college. But he's only 48, she said. He was fine. We were going to dinner next week. He promised. My son Brian, 28, was cold. We have to be realistic, he said. He had no will, no power of attorney. We can't let him stay like this indefinitely. I heard it all. I wanted to scream, but my body wouldn't respond. I couldn't move, couldn't blink, couldn't signal in any way. But I was there, trapped inside myself, listening, every day, every visit, every betrayal. By day 11, they stopped speaking like I was in the room. Monica would talk to the nurses about dosages, insurance, costs. How long will the policy cover this level of care? She asked one nurse. Another 30 days, came the answer. Then he'll need to be moved to long-term care. That's a separate policy. No, Monica replied quietly. That won't be necessary. I didn't understand what she meant. Not then. On day 14, my brother Paul visited. You're sure you can't hear us? He asked. The doctors said it's just reflexes. Monica sounded tired. And the EEG hasn't changed. No improvement. If we start the process now, the judge will approve within a week. You'll get the house, Paul said. Brian and Emily will split the trust. And I'll manage the business side until probate clears. That's fair. I wanted to scream. I wanted to thrash and tear the tubes from my throat. These were people I loved, trusted. Monica and I had been married 25 years. Paul and I started a company together when we were 19. My children, my legacy, were dividing my life like vultures. And they were planning something. Something final. How long after the sedative does it happen? Paul asked. It's painless, Monica said. Peaceful. They just go to sleep. And no autopsy? Not if it's under hospital palliative care protocol. It's all legal. I spoke to the attorney already. My heart would have pounded if it could. Instead, I lay there in sterile silence, tubes feeding oxygen and nutrition into a body that had become my prison. I thought about the night before the crash. Monica and I had argued. Nothing serious, or so I thought. She said I was obsessed with work, that I didn't listen anymore. I told her she'd been cold lately, distracted. We never resolved it. I left to clear my head. Went for a drive. The last drive I would take as a free man. That night, after she left my room, Emily returned alone. She sat beside me for a long time. I could smell her shampoo, lavender, same as her mother's. I know you're in there, Dad, she whispered. I feel it. I don't care what they say. Don't give up, okay? Please, fight. Tears slid down her cheeks. I couldn't cry. I couldn't touch her hand. But I heard, and something in me clenched tight. A refusal to die. A refusal to give them what they wanted. That was the night I made the decision. If I ever woke up, I would make them pay. Every single one of them who had given up on me. Who had planned my death while I was still breathing. Who had measured my worth in inheritance shares and insurance payouts. I would return, and I would destroy their plans. I would expose them, one by one. But first, I had to find a way back. Back into the body they thought had failed. back into the world they thought I was leaving behind. I wasn't going anywhere. I just needed time. And patience. And rage. The human mind is a strange thing. When your body fails, it doesn't go silent, it reconfigures. I couldn't move or speak, but my awareness grew sharper. I began memorizing voices, counting footsteps, tracking times of day by light and shadow. I built timelines in my head. Monica visited every other morning. Paul came once a week. Brian came only when Monica summoned him. Emily was the only one who came daily, even if she sat in silence. And she never spoke about ending my life. The others? They were methodical, clinical, ruthless. He always said he didn't want to live as a vegetable. Monica told Brian on day 17. Do you think we should record something? Just in case the judge needs confirmation. You could stage it, Brian replied. You talk to him. Say he wouldn't want this. We can show that as your intent. I wanted to scream. The doctors had declared me unresponsive. The EEG showed flat patterns in regions they expected to see activity. But those machines didn't measure resolve. They didn't see what I saw when I slipped into the dreamlike state I now inhabited. I saw the accident, over and over, like a recurring nightmare I couldn't escape. I heard my own heartbeat in stereo, once in my ears, once from the monitor. I counted the seconds between pumps. I built my rage into structure. On day 20, the hospital ethics committee was scheduled to review Monica's request. She'd filed the paperwork 2 days earlier. I'd heard her on the phone with the attorney. Persistent vegetative state for 21 days. No improvement. Patient over 48. No advance directive. We can push for compassionate withdrawal, she said. We just need to show emotional hardship. Financial strain. I've got the bills ready. I had to do something. Anything. That night, I focused on my hand. My right hand. I remembered the tendons, the muscles. I pictured them flexing, curling into a fist. I imagined the nerves firing. For hours, I thought of nothing else. Move. 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 Just a twitch. Anything. Nothing happened. But the next morning, Emily came in and gasped. Dad, she whispered. Did you? Was that your finger? She ran to the nurse's station. A nurse came in, ran a basic motor test. Probably a spasm, she said, checking the monitors. It happens sometimes. Don't get your hopes up, honey. But I knew what I'd felt. A current. Weak, but real. Emily stayed longer that day. She brought an old book I used to read to her when she was a kid, Hatchet, by Gary Paulson. She read aloud, crying halfway through. That night, I dreamed for the first time. Not of the accident, but of standing, walking, running, my body whole, my voice strong. In the dream, I stood beside Monica's bed as she typed numbers into her phone. He doesn't deserve it all, she muttered. 17 years of marriage doesn't mean I give up my life now. Paul appeared beside her in the dream, saying, the house is worth $800,000. The insurance is $2.1 million. If he dies before the end of the month, you clear both without tax penalty. I woke in darkness. The dream didn't feel like a dream. It felt like truth, filtered through the subconscious. I forced my mind to shift focus. This time my toe. Left foot. Same technique. Visualize. Command. Repeat. Nothing. But the rage kept me warm. Kept me fighting. On day 23, Paul and Monica returned together. Their voices were quieter now. The doctor said he might have shown minor reflex movement. Monica said. That could delay the withdrawal request. We don't have time to delay, Paul hissed. If this goes past the 30-day mark, the insurance payout shifts. You know this. The policy changes from active accident to chronic care. You'd lose almost 40%. What do you want me to do? She asked. He's still breathing. Then we help him stop, Paul whispered. There are ways. My blood froze. I have access, Paul continued. I know people. Quiet people. It won't be suspicious. You'll still be covered. No, Monica said, voice shaking. It has to look natural. Sleep meds. Airway obstruction. Something plausible. You get cold feet now and all of this goes to probate, Paul snapped. Then the kids get lawyers involved. You want that mess. We do this clean, Monica whispered. I'll talk to the night nurse. They left at 8:43 p.m. That night, I felt a hand on my wrist. A pressure. Someone checking my pulse, but it lingered. I smelled lavender, not Emily. The scent was too heavy. Synthetic. Monica's perfume. She leaned down close to my face. You were always so strong, she whispered. So careful. I loved you, Tom. But you left me long before the crash. If you're in there, I hope you understand. I need to let go. For both of us." She kissed my forehead and left. 10 minutes later, I heard the nurse adjusting my four. "Just a small increase," she murmured to herself. "Help you sleep better." But the machine beeped a different pattern. Faster. More aggressive. Something had changed. I knew it. I had one last card to play. I focused everything on my right hand again. I pictured Emily. Her voice. Her hope. Her belief in me. I reached for her with my mind. And for the first time, my pinky finger twitched. Not a spasm. Not a reflex. A deliberate motion. A choice. I was coming back. And when I did, I would burn everything they built on my supposed grave. The following morning, the nurse noted the pinky movement. Emily had stayed overnight in the chair next to my bed. She saw it too. That was real, she told the nurse. He moved it. I saw it. I swear. Sometimes coma patients have involuntary responses, the nurse said. It doesn't necessarily mean recovery. But Emily wasn't backing down. She called the neurologist, insisted on new tests. She pulled strings, pushed through red tape, and within 24 hours, I was scheduled for another EEG. I heard her fighting for me. Her voice, her belief, was the thread I clung to in the darkness. She read to me, played music we used to love, held my hand for hours. Her warmth was the only comfort I knew. Meanwhile, Monica didn't visit that day. Neither did Paul. But I heard them on a call. Monica had left her phone unlocked on the tray table once before, and I'd memorized the ringtone. It was hers. Paul's voice came through the speaker. Too risky now. She's watching him like a hawk. What do we do? Monica whispered. Do nothing, Paul said. Let nature take its course. We delay the insurance claim, file for hardship and probate. We'll still walk away with something. Just don't screw this up. I won't, she promised. But I'm telling you, if he wakes up, he won't, Paul interrupted. And if he does, you play the grieving wife. You gaslight. You cry. You say he's confused. And if he remembers, then I'll take care of it. You leave that to me. My blood ran cold. I knew what that meant. Paul had connections. In our business, he'd handled difficult negotiations before. Quiet threats. Aggressive exits. And he was comfortable making things disappear. If I woke up, they wouldn't let me stay awake for long. The next 48 hours were critical. I practiced moving my hand every moment I was alone. When Emily visited, I waited until her hand was near mine and summoned every last ounce of control. I curled my index finger around hers. She froze. Looked at me. Daddy? She whispered, eyes wide. Do it again. I did. Slowly. Deliberately. A second curl. A second squeeze. She screamed joy, shock, disbelief, and ran into the hallway calling for a nurse. Everything changed. The room filled with staff. They ran neuro checks, motor tests, verbal stimuli. I still couldn't speak, but they saw enough to believe it. Minimal consciousness, the neurologist said. Emerging responsiveness. He's trying. Emily cried into my chest. I knew it. I knew you weren't gone. Monica showed up the next morning, face tight with tension, mascara fresh, too carefully applied. She walked into the room with a smile that didn't touch her eyes. Hi, sweetheart, she said softly. I heard you've been busy while I was away. I could hear the fear in her voice. She sat beside me, leaned in close, and whispered low enough no one else could hear. If you say anything, no one will believe you. You've been in a coma for nearly a month. They'll say your mind played tricks on you. Hallucinations. Confused memories. Don't ruin this, Tom. Let it go. We can still move on. You and me. She kissed my cheek, then smiled at the nurse. He seems more alert today. I'll bring his favorite book tomorrow. That night, Paul didn't visit, but I knew he'd been there. The camera in the hallway picked up a man signing in under a false name. Janitorial uniform. An hour later, the medicine in my fore felt different. My vision blurred. The air felt thick. I couldn't move. My finger wouldn't twitch. My thoughts slowed. It felt like drowning. Someone had altered my medication, and it wasn't a nurse. Emily saved me again. She'd returned late to drop off a blanket and noticed the erratic vitals. She called in the night shift, demanded a full review. The 4 was replaced. Dosage corrected. I heard the staff whispering later. Unauthorized visitor. Security review in the morning. Could have been deadly. The next day, Emily stayed the entire time. Monica came once, smiled, dropped off flowers, and left in under 5 minutes. I began regaining movement in my left hand. My eyelids fluttered, and for the first time, I could open them. The light stabbed into my brain like glass, but I welcomed it. I blinked slowly. Emily gasped. "You're back," she whispered. "Oh my God. You're really back." I blinked once for yes. She cried again. But my heart was stone. I wasn't back for love. I was back for vengeance. I just needed time. Days passed. Speech returned slowly, one syllable at a time. Physical therapy began. I never told them I remembered everything. I played the game. Let them think I was confused, that my memories were blurry. Emily shielded me. Brian was suspicious. He didn't like the attention shifting away from Monica. He stopped visiting. Paul disappeared. But I knew he was watching. I saw his car in the parking lot one morning. He wasn't finished. And neither was I. As soon as I could write, I began drafting a letter. To my lawyer. To my banker. To a private investigator I knew from a case years back. I made lists. Timestamps. Names. Every whisper I'd heard while trapped in my own body. My evidence wasn't physical. Not yet. But I was building a case. By the end of the week, I would be discharged to home care. Monica insisted on having the setup at the house. "He'll recover better in a familiar place," she told the doctor. But I knew better. She wanted me isolated. Vulnerable. Alone. Emily insisted on moving back home to help. Monica didn't like it, but she couldn't say no without revealing too much. That weekend, I left the hospital in a wheelchair, body still weak, but spirit ironclad. I smiled as I was wheeled out, because they thought I was lucky to survive. But I knew the truth. I wasn't lucky. I was patient, and I was coming for them. The house felt like a haunted stage. Every room echoed with false memories. I'd built this place, paid for every inch, every appliance, every damned photo on the wall, and now it belonged to traitors who'd nearly ended me. Monica met me at the door with a nurse she'd hired. Private, discreet, with glowing references. Her name was Lydia. Middle-aged, calm, competent. Monica smiled sweetly as she introduced her. "Lydia will help you while I manage things. I know how stressful this must be for you, Tom." I smiled back. Weakly. Carefully. But behind my eyes, calculations began. The next day, I asked Lydia for a voice recorder under the pretense of capturing therapy notes. She brought one, no questions asked. I placed it in a drawer near the hallway, angled toward the kitchen and living room. I knew that's where Monica and Paul talked when they thought I was asleep. Emily had moved into the guest room. She stayed close, watched my medication schedule, double-checked Lydia's routines. Monica hated that. She kept suggesting Emily go back to her apartment. "You've done enough," she'd say, her smile brittle. "He needs space now." But Emily stayed. She felt something, knew something, and that was my shield. I spent those first few days pretending to forget. What happened again? I asked Monica. "I don't remember much after the crash." She smiled, relieved. "You were out for weeks. The doctors weren't sure you'd ever wake up. But you did. And that's all that matters." I nodded, slowly. "I guess I'm lucky." "Very." She kissed my forehead like a mother soothing a child. But her eyes were cold. Later that night, I reviewed the recorder. Static. Then voices. "Paul. He doesn't remember anything." "You're sure?" "Monica, positive." I tested him. Brought up a few things he should have reacted to. "Nothing. It's all fog." "Paul." "Good. Then let it fade." "Let him fade. We keep things normal. Keep Emily distracted. You're still the proxy. Just wait for his body to catch up with his mind." "Monica, he's weaker than I expected. But I don't want to drag this out. I can't live like this." "Paul, be patient. One more slip, one small infection, and the hospital won't question it." My hand shook as I turned off the recorder. I transferred the file to my laptop, backed it up to 3 different drives. I wasn't going to the police yet. No, this had to be clean. Undeniable. Ruthless. Like them. I called my lawyer, said I wanted to update my will. He visited the house 2 days later. I insisted we speak alone. Monica protested, but I insisted. "Clarity is important," I told her. "It's the least I can do after putting you through all this." My lawyer, Harold Denton, had been with me 15 years. Loyal. Sharp. Ethical. I trusted him. I gave him everything. The recorded conversations, the timeline of events I remembered, the plan to gather more evidence. "You can't go to the police yet," he said. "They'll question your mental state. It's too soon." "I know," I said. "But I want you ready. I want to update my will, cut them out. Everything to Emily. Everything. And I want that locked." "Done," he said. "But be careful. If they suspect, they already suspect." That's why I need to move faster. That night, Emily sat beside me while Monica cooked in the kitchen. Dad, she whispered, I know something's wrong. I don't trust them. Not since the hospital. I feel like they're watching me. Like they want me gone. You're not wrong, I said softly. But I need you here a little longer. Why? I looked at her, held her hand. Because you're the only reason I'm still alive. And I promise you, when this ends, the truth will come out. You just have to trust me. She nodded, tears in her eyes. Always. Over the next week, I baited them. I asked Monica to explain my insurance policies. I pretended to misplace bank statements, requested copies. Each time, she got more agitated. Why does it matter? She snapped once. You should be resting, not worrying about money. Just making sense of things, I said. Everything's so blurry. That night, she snapped at Emily too. You've been here long enough. You're not helping, you're hovering. Give your father space. Emily didn't flinch. I'm not leaving. Paul stopped by again. I had the recorder in place. I caught it all. Paul, he's getting stronger. We have to act. Monica, not yet. I'm being watched. He's suspicious. I can feel it. Paul, then we go with the second plan. I know a guy. Quiet, clinical. Makes it look like a stroke. You'll be the grieving widow, he'll be gone, and no one will question it. Monica, do it. That was enough. I called Harold again. Sent him the second recording. He advised waiting one more day, let them attempt it. Let them hang themselves. So I did. I told Lydia I was skipping meds for a night. Claimed the painkillers made me nauseous. She agreed. That evening, Monica brought me tea. Chamomile. She insisted I drink it. I didn't. I waited until she left, then poured it into a bottle and sealed it. Emily saw me. What's going on? It's happening tonight, I whispered. Don't sleep. Watch the monitors. Call Harold if anything goes wrong. What's in the tea? I'm going to find out. That night, at 2:47 a.m., I heard footsteps. The creak of the door. Monica's silhouette in the dark. She crept closer. I faked sleep. Shallow breathing. No movement. She reached for my 4-line, then hesitated. I loved you, she whispered. But this is mercy. She adjusted something. I felt the cool rush of liquid into my vein. I waited 60 seconds, then pressed the hidden alert button I'd had Lydia install earlier under my blanket. It triggered a silent alarm connected to my laptop, which instantly sent a pre-scheduled email to Harold. Within 20 minutes, police were at the door. Monica tried to lie. Said I was having a reaction. But Emily showed them the tea, the files, the recordings. Everything. They tested the tea. It contained a sedative cocktail powerful enough to stop breathing in someone with my condition. She was arrested at 4:15 a.m. Paul was picked up later that morning. I watched them taken away from the living room window. Calm. Cold. Finally free. But not finished. By the time the sun rose, the headlines were already circulating. Local woman arrested in husband's alleged mercy-killing attempt. Prominent businessman's coma recovery exposes family conspiracy. The media only had fragments, but they didn't matter. The real storm was brewing in legal offices, hospital administration, in the hearts of everyone who ever shook my hand thinking I'd die quietly. Monica was held without bail. Paul too, obstruction, conspiracy, attempted murder. The nurse Monica had bribed during my hospital stay flipped immediately. She produced messages, bank transfers, and a timeline that matched my own recordings. Every detail, every whisper in the dark, had been backed up twice over. Monica claimed it was mercy, claimed stress and grief and confusion. Her lawyer painted her as a loyal wife overcome by fear of watching her husband suffer. But the evidence told a different story. Cold calculation, coordinated planning, financial motive. Paul was less prepared. He thought silence would protect him. But the money trail I uncovered, fake consulting invoices, cash transfers, fabricated debts paid out of the business, buried him alive. The prosecutors smiled when they saw my files. I didn't testify in court. I didn't have to. The audio was enough. The tea was enough. The timelines, hospital logs, insurance correspondence, it all told the story better than I could from a witness stand. Emily sat beside me during the hearings, hand in mine, steady as stone. Brian never visited. He sent one message through a lawyer, a cold, detached email claiming he had no knowledge of or connection to any of the events. He walked away from the family, the house, the business, and the fallout. I didn't fight him. Let him run. He had to live with the weight of what he almost participated in. Emily, however, inherited everything. The will I'd filed before the crash had been simple, outdated. But the new one, witnessed, notarized, sealed, and delivered before Monica's attempt, was ironclad. I gave her the business, the estate, the accounts, the insurance. Not out of revenge. Out of truth. She had been the only one who sat beside me not expecting anything but my return. The only one who deserved what I had built. "Are you sure?" she asked when it was finalized. "This is too much." "No," I said. "It's just enough." A month later, I stood without help. The therapists called it miraculous. I didn't correct them. I moved through the world with a quiet stillness, a presence sharpened by pain and betrayal. Lydia remained my nurse until I was fully mobile. I gave her a job offer afterward, head of wellness in the company. She took it. Monica was sentenced to 17 years. Paul got 22. Neither cried. Neither looked at me in the courtroom. But I stared at them as the judge read the verdicts. I needed them to see my face. The face of the man they tried to erase. The face of the man who listened to his own death plotted night after night. The man who waited. The man who returned. After the trial, I held a press conference. Not out of pride, but out of responsibility. I told my story. The accident. The coma. The awareness. The betrayal. The recovery. It went viral. Overnight, thousands of people wrote to me, coma survivors, betrayed spouses, daughters fighting for fathers. The world didn't just see a man who survived. They saw a warning. A reckoning. I published a book titled While I Slept. It sold out in 2 weeks. Not because I was a great writer, but because the story was real. Raw. Ruthless. I donated 70% of the profits to traumatic brain injury foundations. The other 30% I gave to Emily to fund her nonprofit for caregiver support. She ran it like she ran my bedside full of fire. A year after my release from the hospital, I returned to the company. Not to run it. That was Emily's job now. But to advise. To guide. To teach the young ones what I'd learned not from books or spreadsheets, but from being buried alive in my own body. From hearing the people closest to me slice up my legacy before I was even cold. From learning what survival really meant. One day, a young employee asked me, "How did you know who to trust?" I smiled. "I didn't," I said. "I just listened." "And how did you get justice?" "I waited," I said. "Because the truth always talks. You just have to be quiet long enough to hear it." That night, I walked through the house alone. The same one Monica once claimed in whispers behind my back. Now quiet. Honest. Free. I opened the windows. Let the breeze in. Watched the city lights pulse beyond the trees. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel rage. I didn't feel broken. I just felt awake. Truly awake. While they plotted and poisoned and postured, I had laid still. Waiting. Learning. Surviving. And when I rose, I didn't rise screaming. I rose prepared. While I slept, I sharpened my teeth.